going into Houston and then St. Louis and then Nauvoo. Look how big. Take the cabin for Sarah.
Please take your seats for departure. We'll stop for a minute. We can take a photo. Throw you back in your seat. You can open up that deal.
See that? That's the runway down there, and we're about to take off from it and go like really fast. Maybe Grandma will record it eventually on one of these flights.
Oh, how jiggly it will be right now.
Oh, we'll record it, Grandma. We'll record it. We have
if
to
you
record
leave
it.
the runway, then it'll be real smooth.
Yep. Here, can I record her?
I'll record.
Oh.
Here we go.
Can you get closer to the window? Okay, we're about to take off. And it's going to be really, really fast. Okay. Here we go. Where's the microphone on that? We're leaving. See how fast we're going? Whoa, it's jiggling and stuff. See that? We're going really fast, Sarah. You recording still? Okay. Hey look, Sarah, I'm about to be in the air. We're in the air now. Recording.
It's not even crooked. It's so smooth.
Shine it down, you got to shine it down too. Closer to the window.
This is great.
You gotta shine it down. Like straight down. Here.
Well, this is great.
Pull it closer.
I don't know what I can do. The mountain.
You gotta look straight down though and show how small the cars are, Grandma.
This is great. Kelly's playing great. There, you can see it. Water on both sides and the trees, the path, gorgeous. So we walk through here. As we walk through here, you'll see the arch. You can have a ride, turn to the top. I don't believe I'll be riding it. So it's going in front of it by the river. And then here's the arch. We're coming up to first going the village down the street by the railroad, right in front of ours. And I took a ride on that. In St. Louis. Can't believe this until you see it. Goes up in the sky. People ride thinking it is the sky. I just don't believe I can do that. Definitely. Really something to see. Here's another view at it. Of the arch. And so look, way on close, you can see little tiny windows. In the very top, that you can peek out. And you're up there, you can see those very tiny windows. As you're going out. And it's huge.
You maybe want to go to the top?
Seth asked me if I wanted to go to the top, and I say no. There he goes. He's going to go get on. He's over there. And that's a pathway to our person. This is big, beautiful
Make it
road.
back there in time the night before.
And then this is the arch. And down there, where you walk, there's a lot of things to see, but they won't let me see. I'd love to go on that boat down the Mississippi. Heard about it all your life, you read about it all your life, and you see the boat. A lot of gambling on that. It's the only thing. I don't want to do it. Bridge over the Mississippi River. This is the capital of Illinois, Springfield, Illinois. The thrill, because this was built after Abraham Lincoln. This was the newer capital, but it still fills the city. Here's a statue of Abraham Lincoln in front of the Capitol. One of our very favorite presidents of the United States. Jefferson Douglas, just before you go in. Stephen A. Douglas, he always said the part of the Constitution of the United States. You won't be able to read it, but the Masons started the cornerstone in it. This is it on. We're on the 4th floor, and there's the dome. It has these wonderful meetings of different men around the dome. And then lower on there's the statues of them. I can tell that looks like human redemption. And then this is the bottom part. And they're on the top of the fourth floor. Little floor. Looks like the Prophet Joseph Smith. Look at Indians. Cleaning the Indians, but it looks like the Prophet Joseph preaching to the women. The radio of George Washington. A senator. First minister. First woman to serve in the Illinois legislature. Let's see. 1878, 1967. There's the beagle, the silver wall. That gorgeous. There's the farmers. Please forget it. The Civil War. We might have liberty in the ministry in our country. Let us forget.
Where do you want to go next, Emma?
Well, let's see. Plastic. On the second floor. President. I mean, I've seen this picture before. Ulysses S. Grant. One of the old great capitals of the There is an old great capital ready for delivery. And this is all the world is here. Here is in the inside of the glass. Sure it's different from here. across the street is open. Next to me, one black military let's go home to use this time. Oh, thank you very much. The home was his home. Oh, dear, here's a home. It's beautiful. The way you go right. Old home. Glass and then box on top of it. His neighbors. The walk is made of old oak. Very durable. This home and living showed how they made homes in those days. That's all they made with her. Huh? When Abraham Lincoln was here, all the way here, the flags were facing. And as we come down the road, all these beautiful flags. The memorial. Gorgeous. This is really good. This is John R. Tanner's memorial. He was the governor of Illinois between 1897 and 1901. Now, listen to mine. There's the soldiers fighting for the Union. This was a bronze statue of Lincoln, the death mask that I showed you earlier, of the white. Now this is a bronze of Abraham Lincoln. So the initials of all the states in the Union were in the slip around the big corners. This is the tomb. such a feeling. And also music. Go into the world because of the things that must need to be. But when of this this is just for that we must live in this moment because there is there's a beautiful one. The cars coming in This song came from the citizens of Rome for the memory of the brave men that died for freedom. And placed here. It came in 1865 and they dedicated in 1870. No, they said that it was a couple custodial residents. Doesn't say to live there now, but the present folks. In 1852 and 1911, it was built in 1894. He's at last spring. No wonder he loves Springfield. Oh, this beauty is the tree. Springfield is a lost place. And this is from the west. Of Illinois. The corn and the soybean grows and it irrigates from the rain. It's gorgeous. And soybeans, honestly, this country seems to be really beautiful, literally the world country. Oh, and corn country that you just can't imagine. It is so beautiful. Illinois is a gorgeous state. This is such a gorgeous country. country. You just can't believe it. With the Mark Twain, historical Mark Twain, in the crossing of Mississippi. Mark Twain, Visitor Center. We would love to go on this tour up the Mississippi. There's the Mississippi and there's the Mark Twain. We'd like to go down the Pillar South between the Gulf Street and see if we can afford it. In Quincy, Illinois.
I don't think we're in Quincy yet.
The people that helped the saints.
There's a big home.
The place. Go slow, please. That's probably the hall where the choir sang. Go around and see if that is. But it might be. This is a progressive town. It's really growing. Mormon Tabernacle sang here and gave the benefits to Quincy because they were so kind to the saints. It's beautiful too. There are two doors entering into the temple to the station. So we're coming out of the Nauvoo, Illinois temple. Wonderful. The grandkids are running to me. Here's the highway, and I'm going to cross that. To the right as we come down the steps, it's Joseph Smith Academy. Flowers, okay. This is in the back.
I feel impressed to announce that among all the temples we're constructing, we plan to rebuild the Nauvoo temple
great thing to be a part of. It's a great time to be alive, to be a member of the church.
That was a temple that was built and so much suffering went in by the saints, and it was burned, it was destroyed. And it was just wonderful to know, and I'm sure they would be pleased to know that it was being rebuilt.
There's great significance not only to the church but to the world that the Nauvoo temple was being reconstructed. It was there that the temple ordinances were revealed and the purposes of them. And so
This is Carthage, Nauvoo. You'll walk right down this path to the jail. Smith family came here. They dedicated it. I think this is beautiful.
How you doing? Fine, how are you? Good.
Where are you from?
Linden, Utah.
And they have a visitor center right here next to Carthage jail.
And to use it for its purposes, which was to bless the human family. That's all they were concerned in doing, but people misunderstood Joseph Smith's calling in life. These paintings exemplify his calling in life. It was to establish the Church of Jesus Christ on the earth. The middle painting is the organization of the church, and the ones either side are the miraculous events that happened to organize the church. The coming forth of the Book of Mormon, the angel messenger Moroni came to Joseph, and he translated that work with the gift and power of God into English, so we can have another testament of Jesus Christ. It wasn't written by him, it was translated by him. So we have a record of those ancient Christian people that lived on this continent.
19th century has exerted the most powerful influence upon the destinies of his countrymen. And it is by no means impossible that the answer may be thus written: Joseph Smith, the Mormon prophet.
I shall likely tell many remarkable incidents about his childhood. But in truth, nothing occurred during his early life, except those trivial circumstances which are common to that state.
Take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet.
Joseph seemed less inclined to the perusal of books than the rest of our children, but far more given to meditation, deep study.
Joseph was my younger brother. When he was about 14 years old, a great religious revival took place in the region where we lived. People became concerned about the salvation of their souls, and many were confused about which faith they should adopt. Joseph was also concerned about religion. He read the Bible often, looking for direction.
If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, to giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering.
Over. Well, you can't very well tell me that you want to talk.
did not talk.
I got up early in the morning yesterday. And I went out into the woods, out past old clearing trees. I went in wondering what I should do about religion. Joseph told me that as he prayed, he saw a pillar of light above his head. It was brighter than the sun. And when the light rested on him, he saw two personages. One of them called him by name and pointed to the other, saying, "This is my beloved Son. Hear him."
My father loved young Joseph Smith, and he often hired him to work with my brothers. When the boys worked by themselves, time would be spent in arguing and quarreling. But when Joseph worked with them, the work went steadily forward. I remember the excitement stirred up among some of the people over Joseph's vision. Father contended there were no such things as visions or revelations. He said it was the sweet dream of a pure-minded boy.
Our family first met Joseph Smith in 1826. He was 21 years old. We were very deeply impressed with the truthfulness of his statements concerning an ancient book of Scripture, which had been shown him by an angel of the Lord. While I was there, I began to pray. And lo, he visited us often and told us of God's manifestations to him and of receiving the plates from which the Book of Mormon was translated. And there was a person who appeared. He told me that he was a messenger sent from God.
Joseph and I were married in 1827. At that time, Joseph could not dictate a well-worded letter, let alone the Book of Mormon. No man could have dictated the writing of the manuscript unless he was inspired. After meals or other interruptions, he would at once begin where he had left off, without either seeing the manuscript or having any portion of it read to him. It would have been improbable that a learned man could do this. For one so unlearned as he was, it was simply impossible.
That ye may learn wisdom.
These were days never to be forgotten. To sit under the sound of a voice dictated by the inspiration of heaven awakened the utmost gratitude of this bosom. The Book of Mormon is true. It was translated by the gift and power of God.
How can we know the truth? Search the Scriptures. Search the revelations which we publish. And ask your Heavenly Father, in the name of His Son, Jesus Christ, to manifest the truth unto you. If you do it with their eyes sealed to His glory, nothing dying.
The first time I saw Joseph Smith was in the fall of 1831. I'd heard many stories about him, and my curiosity was considerably aroused. As I listened, I felt that he was telling something that he knew to be positively true.
Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that
I was disappointed when I beheld only the appearance of the common man. He preached from the Bible calmly and dispassionately, while I sat waiting to hear some denunciation of every individual but a Mormon. I waited in vain.
fellow sojourners of the earth, it is your privilege to purify yourselves and see for yourselves and know for yourselves. Joseph was
generous and good-humored, and well within his social and sometimes lively moods, we could not then so fully realize the greatness of his calling. I was with Joseph Smith in 1838 when we were informed that the governor had issued an order to exterminate or drive every Mormon from the state. We were taken from our families and marched under guard across the state. As we camped along the way, many curious citizens stopped to see the man they had heard so much about. Joseph's manner was easy and familiar. Even his most bitter enemies were generally overcome if he could once get their ears.
So you're Joseph Smith.
Yes, I am.
I'm told you profess to be some sort of savior to your people. Is that true?
No, it isn't true. I profess to be nothing but a man, sent by Jesus Christ to preach his gospel.
Is that so? So what do you preach then?
Would you care to sit? Faith in the Lord Jesus Christ.
We were to spend the next 6 months imprisoned in a dungeon cell. Yet Joseph's countenance was ever mild, affable, and cheerful.
I first met Joseph Smith in Nauvoo, Illinois. To me, he seemed to possess more power and force of character than any ordinary man. I would look upon him when he was with other men, and he would appear greater than ever. The more I heard his sayings and saw his doings, the more I was convinced he was a prophet of God.
During the time the Mormons lived in Nauvoo, my parish covered several counties. Joseph Smith always showed me great respect and friendship. On one occasion, when he learned that a member of my parish across the river was sick, and that I had nowhere to cross from the Iowa side to visit him, he arranged to ferry me over and provided me a carriage as well. I was surprised he took so personal an interest.
In 1839, I traveled with Joseph Smith to Washington. En route, our coachman stepped into a public house. The horses took fright and ran down the hill at full speed. Joseph calmed the passengers, then opened the door and secured hold on the side of the coach, and succeeded in placing himself in the coachman's seat and reining up the horses. Neither coach, horses, or passengers received any injury. The more extensive my experience with Joseph, the more my confidence in him increased.
I attended a meeting to hear Joseph Smith expound his doctrine. He is not educated, but is a plain, sensible, strong-minded man. Everything he says leaves an impression that he is sincere. There is no levity, no fanaticism. Throughout his whole address, he displayed strongly his spirit of charity and forbearance.
Summer of 1841, I heard the first of a ball with the prophet. chose not to meet us in the bar. And on getting it over, took a fallen cutlet and sent it to me with it. Was it any wonder that we loved that great, good man?
He was not an ordinary man. It was impossible to meet him and not be impressed by the strength of his personality. All who met him sensed a power and influence which he carried with him.
On one occasion, when Joseph Smith was mayor of Nauvoo, it became his duty to fine a man for violating a city ordinance. The man, a former slave, was saving all he could to buy his son's freedom.
Anthony, turn around and talk to me for a minute. See my horse over there? He's a fine animal. Should bring a handsome price. He's yours. Sell the animal and pay the fine. Use the rest to buy your boy's freedom. God bless you.
You're coming back?
I love you.
I love you too. The last time I saw Joseph, he was on his way to Carthage.
I was with Joseph Smith a great deal during his life. I was with him when he died. I have been with him in private and in public. I've associated with him in councils of all kinds. I've listened hundreds of times to his public teachings and his private advice to friends. I've seen him under various circumstances, and I know that he was a good, honorable, virtuous man. His one desire was to bear witness of the truth, even to the very guards who held him prisoner.
Don't ask people to throw away any good they have. We only ask them to come and get more.
Well, God always taught angels and visions and things.
People have been asking that question since the beginning of time. There was a prophet that lived in the ancient Americas. He talked about that very question. He said, has the day of miracles ceased? Or have angels ceased to appear unto the children of men? Has he withheld the power of the Holy Ghost from them? Or will he, so long as time shall last? It is by faith that miracles are wrought. And it is by faith that angels appear and minister unto men. If these things have ceased, then his faith has ceased also.
I do not think that a man lives on the earth that knew Joseph Smith any better than I did. And I received a sure testimony by the Spirit of prophecy that he was all that any man could believe him to be. I feel like shouting hallelujah all the time when I think that I ever knew Joseph Smith, the prophet.
Whole time. That's the same year that Nauvoo was founded in 1849. The prophet obviously came here in 1844, 5 years later. But it was used as a county jail for 25 years. It's only a small county jail. There's 2 cells inside. The rest is the home where the family lived. The family's name was the Stegals, and George Stegal was the jailer, and he was also a deputy sheriff in Carthage. So he's quite a prominent citizen here. So this is the dining room. We're going to start in the big parlor room so you can go in. Okay, well, so this is the inside of the jail. Like I said, the floor is original right here, apart from the dining room. So the family lived here. It was their job. He was the jailer. They had 7 children. Set the bail at such a high price that he was involved. His name was Robert Smith. So he was a very key figure in bringing them here. 17 cells right ahead of you.
Right ahead of me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Morning, the air was hot and humid. The prisoners received a few visitors. They also read, conversed, and wrote letters. Joseph wrote to his wife.
Dear Emma, I am very much resigned to my lot, knowing I am justified and have done the best that could be done. Give my love to the children and all my friends, and may God bless you all.
By afternoon, the mood grew somber. Joseph asked John Taylor to sing a favorite hymn. Weight-bearing man of grief hath often crossed me on my way, who stood so humbly for relief that I could never answer nay. I had not power to ask his name, whereto he went, or whence he came. Yet there was something in his eye that won my love, I knew not why. About 5 p.m. on that hot, sultry afternoon, a large group of armed men, some with faces blackened to disguise their identity, headed for the jail. The prisoners hurriedly closed the door and tried to hold it shut. Members of the mob fired into the door. The first shot grazed the lock. A second came through the door, striking Hiram in the face and killing him almost instantly. A hail of bullets whizzed through the air as the door was forced ajar. John Taylor tried to push away the rifles with his walking stick. Then he stepped back toward the window. He was struck in the hip by a bullet. Another ball from outside struck his watch, knocking him back into the room, onto the floor, and almost under the bed. Joseph also started for the window. 2 bullets from outside struck him in the chest. 2 other bullets hit him in the back. He plunged through the window to the ground below, mortally wounded. When Joseph fell, the mob rushed downstairs to see if he was dead. Willard Richards ran to the window and looked down at the prophet's body. As he turned to leave the room, he heard a gasp.
Take me with you.
He pulled the wounded John Taylor from under the bed and hid him in the dungeon cell, thinking the mob would probably return. Outside, someone yelled, "The Mormons are coming!" The mob turned and fled. By morning, many of the townspeople had also fled, fearing vengeance for the death of Joseph and Hiram. But the warning shout and the fear it expressed were unfounded. The vengeance never came. The Latter-day Saints were stunned. Joseph and Hiram were gone.
His mission. We covered part of Nebraska, all of Iowa, Wisconsin, parts of Michigan, all of Illinois, and a little part of Kentucky. At Christmas time in 1953, my folks came to visit me. And I was privileged to come here with my folks. There was one couple that they had here to oversee this Carthage jail. There was no electricity in the building, and so they took an old lamp, coil little lamp, and we came into the building, and there was a little pump organ there, and the sister knew how to play the pump organ. And we sang, "We Thank Thee, O God." It was dark. Testimony. But it strengthened my testimony that I know Joseph Smith was wrong. At that time, we had branches. They were struggling. Today, you see many missions in the same area. Wards, stakes. Those missionaries who served with me planted many seeds, and they are harvesting that crop now. And I do have a testimony of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I know that is true. I know God lives, that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. And I pray that the blessings of the Lord will be on each of you this day, that your testimonies will strengthen. And I pray that we will be able to someday actually be within the presence of the prophet Joseph Smith. I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
This is the front of the jail. Outside this jail.
Around 1961 in Des Moines, and I understand they have at least 2 wards there now, don't they?
2 wards.
Really? Okay.
But she was very faithful.
She and I actually used to correspond.
She met the last I heard
Was it Hobbs?
Hobbs. Sister Hobbs.
Oh, Sister Hobbs. I didn't know Sister. I don't remember Sister.
John Taylor's home. This is Joseph's grandfather. And this is the horse that he came back and got for his little boy that was so sad. This is your bedroom, and this is the only furniture that we have up here. Right here, his shaving mug. This is the kitchen here. He's real close to the printing shop so he could put out the paper. He's still walking from all these restored homes. Hiram Smith, Joseph Smith Jr., Senior, and Lucy Merrick Smith. And these are some of the family. More were buried out here, but I can't read who they are. Home where Lucy Max Smith lived, and Emma. And this is a mansion home, or the hotel where Joseph was building for people to come to. And then Lucy Smith married this Bidwell, and they built that for an extension. And this is Joseph and Emma's home. Stable that he built there. And there was a Nauvoo house. This is where they met. Here.
That's pretty nice. Yeah.
It is not open for tours because people live here.
I wouldn't want to live in someplace where the whole thing is like a disco.
Holly Johnson. Is it Johnson?
Yeah.
Home. And I don't believe they're having tours. This is another residence. This is just down the street from the Prophet Joseph Smith home. There's Lucy Max Smith. Okay, what's the other one? She was an elect lady, let me tell you.
Good evening. We're delighted to welcome you here. Those who've traveled many, many miles and those from just down the street. Thank you all for coming. We'd like to begin with an opening prayer, and then we have a story. To do it is by using songs and stories from the histories and journals of those who actually lived here from 1839 to 1846. Now we have to confess to adding a few original musical numbers of our own, but we hope that they too will help convey the spirit of our city. We call it our city because many of us who are going to help tell the story this evening are the direct descendants of those early saints who settled here. And all of us have a very special feeling about this place. A peaceful feeling that comes from walking these as we sit and look over that magnificent river and marvel at the strength and the beauty of this place. It's these feelings that we'd like to share with you this evening.
Have you ever seen such an evening? Have you ever seen such a sky? Have you ever felt so peaceful inside? Neither have I. Have you noticed that old river so quietly sliding by? Have you ever seen the grass so green? Neither have I. Can't think of a place I'd rather be than the one on which I stand. I'm happy with my people, happy with my home, happy with my land. Don't know how to explain it, don't even think I'll try, but I could spend till my days end, here with the river going by. Come on now and join us, tell your cares and worries goodbye, 'cause hearts come around with family and friend on this bed with the river.
To those who lived here, and to those who loved it, it was the reflection of one man. And so tonight, we call it affectionately, the City of Joseph. In the year 39, on a horseshoe bend of the Mississippi, we found a friend. Stopped our flight, found a site with widow's mite, bought the right to commerce. A swampy land of brush Russian trees, mosquitoes, disease. We drained it.
We drained it.
Reclaimed it.
Reclaimed it.
Maintained it.
Maintained it.
Renamed it.
Renamed it. City of Georgia, city beautiful, city of Georgia, Nauvoo, city of Georgia.
11,000 by the year 42, the Scots came.
The Scots came.
The Danes came.
The Danes came.
The Welsh came.
The Welsh came.
The Saints came.
The Saints came. City of Georgia, city beautiful, city of Georgia, Nauvoo, city of Georgia, city beautiful, city of Georgia, Nauvoo.
Our city charter far exceeded those other cities that had been deeded. We represent a body politic that could change an election and change it quick. Nauvoo Legion, courts our own, civic power never known, university chartered, papers started, moorland hills started to build a temple.
A temple.
A temple.
A temple. City of Joseph, city beautiful, city of Joseph, Nauvoo, city of Joseph, city beautiful, city of Joseph, Nauvoo.
Temples, halls, homes, schools, peace and order, laws and rules, business, commerce, everything booming. Nauvoo, house for travelers rooming, relief society, widows row. Nauvoo band, a steamer to go, fetch our friends, me and you too.
City of Joseph, city beautiful, city of Joseph, Nauvoo, city of Joseph, city beautiful, city of Joseph, Nauvoo. Welcome to the city beautiful. Welcome to the city beautiful. Welcome.
1920. It was then that a young 14-year-old boy named Joseph Smith got caught up in the great revival movement that was sweeping his part of the country. The different churches were holding revival meetings all over the Palmyra area. And while some of the members of the family joined different churches, young Joseph wasn't sure.
For one as young as I to come to any certain conclusion who was right and who was wrong. I was one day reading in the Bible, the Epistle of James, the 1st chapter and 5th verse. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. I reflected on it again and again, and at length came to the determination to ask of God. It was on the morning of a beautiful, clear day, early in the spring of 1820. I retired to the woods near my father's farm. After I'd reached the place where I had previously designed to go, I kneeled down and began to offer up the desires of my heart. I had scarcely done so when immediately I was seized upon by some power which entirely overcame me and had such an astonishing influence over me as to bind my tongue so that I could not speak. exerting all my power to call upon God to deliver me out of the power of this enemy. And just at this moment of great alarm, I saw a pillar of light exactly over my head, above the brightness of the sun. When the light rested upon me, I saw two personages whose brightness and glory defy all description, standing above me in the air. One of them spake unto me, calling me by name, and said, pointing to the other, "This is my beloved Son. Hear him."
Young Joseph was told many sacred things that day and in the years to follow. Told he would be the one to bring about the restoration of the gospel of Jesus Christ in these latter days. Told about ancient gold plates that he would translate into the Book of Mormon. Told to spread this message to all the world. Joseph had his answer.
With the message given to me in the grove.
Have you heard? 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 God speaks again.
Hurry, tell us. Tell us in his glory.
Have you heard? 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 Have you heard God's message too? Have you heard? Have you heard?
Are you asking us?
Yes. Yes, you.
Some listened, most did not. Yet in the fortitude and conviction of those early missionaries, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was being established. And people came. They came to Kirtland, Ohio. They came to Independence in far west Missouri. But as the church grew, misunderstanding and persecution followed, driving us from city to city. So by 1839, we were to find a refuge, a new city. A new city we would build just above the Des Moines Rapids on the Mississippi in Illinois. And it was from here the call went out, "Come." And thousands like Rachel Ivins came.
The first time I saw the prophet Joseph Smith was in New Jersey, before I joined the church. He preached there that night. I just went to hear him out of curiosity. After that, I went several times to hear the missionaries. My minister and everyone warned me about going to hear them. He said if I did not stop going, I must give up my place in his church. I commenced to read the Book of Mormon. I read nearly all night and felt that it was true. Then I got the spirit of gathering and came to Nauvoo.
Trees, mosquitoes, disease. We drained it. We drained it. Reclaimed it. Reclaimed it. Maintained it. Maintained it. Renamed it. Renamed it. by the year 42, the Scots came. The Danes came. The Welsh came. The Saints came. Our city charter far exceeded those other cities that have been deeded. We represent a body politic that could change an election and change it quick. Nauvoo Legion, courts our own, civic power never known. Universities chartered, papers started, more land built, started to build a temple. A temple. City of Joseph, city of Joseph,
and in the future will rank with those who, in one way or another, have stamped their imprint on society.
And what about Josiah Quincy, mayor of Boston, in his book?
It is by no means improbable that some future textbook, for the use of generations yet unborn, will contain a question something like this. What historical American of the 19th century has exerted the most powerful influence on the destinies of his countrymen? And it is by no means impossible that the answer may be thus written. Joseph Smith.
Sorry for this, brother, to the amount of $5. How much do you feel sorry?
Joseph was trying to raise money to help Porter Rockwell get out of jail. He came to a large crowd of young men who were wrestling. Among them was a bully from La Harpe. He had thrown everyone to the ground who took hold of him. When Joseph came to the crowd, he told them what he wanted, passed around the hat, raised what money he could, and then went into the ring to take part with the boys in their games. He was invited to wrestle with the bully. The man was eager to have a tussle with the prophet. So Joseph stepped forward and took hold of the man. The first pass he made, Joseph whirled him around, took him by the collar and the seat of the trousers, walked to a ditch, and threw him in. Then, taking him by the arm, he helped him up and said, "You must not mind this. When I'm with the boys, I make all the fun I can for them."
Ways, and again, not so different. A city full of everyday folks facing and struggling with the everyday problems that are the same in all ages. Some things never change with time or place, especially among the young. The closer to you.
Normally, I think you should.
Naturally, I might just hold your hand for a while.
Naturally, I hope you would.
These are the things I'd normally do, but that would be the end, 'cause you just can't get romantic with a pal, a long-time friend.
John! Yeah? You awake? No. Oh. What you doing? Nothing. Me too. Want to do something? Yeah. What? I don't know. Me too. Yeah. That's the
article in the Times and Seasons, Thursday, April 1st, 1841. Notwithstanding the discouraging circumstances under which the saints were thrown, shipwrecked as it were upon this shore, they have indeed wrought wonders. Habitations are reared for miles in every direction, and others are springing up, and ere we are aware of their existence, are filled with happy occupants. It would do the heart of the truly patriotic and philanthropic good to witness the industry and enterprise which are already manifest in our beautiful city. Though immigrants are flocking in multitudes and have their homes and their wants to be supplied, yet all things move on in their accustomed order and with accelerating force. Hundreds of houses, shops, mills, etc. are expected to go up in the course of the summer, when our city will present a scene of industry, beauty, and comfort hardly equaled in any place in any country. Everywhere we see men of industry, with countenances beaming with cheerful content, hurrying to their several occupations and scenes of labor. The sound of the axe, the hammer, and the saw reach your ear in every direction. And hardly equaled it was. But it took a lot to build a city like Nauvoo. A lot of head for planning, a lot of heart for giving, and an awful lot of hands for the doing. How do you build a city? Your head, your hands. How do you build a city? No matter or rivers instead. How do you build a city with your head?
Plans for houses, plans for streets.
Plans for livestock, plans for wheat.
Plans for shops and plans for halls.
Plans for ditches, plans for walls.
How do you build a city?
Give your time. Give your song. Give your rhyme.
Do you have all your warm clothes?
Yes. Now, don't forget to water the stock every day.
And you'll be sure to let us know where to send the letters. England is so far away.
The brethren promised to help with the harvest.
I know.
The time will go by quickly. You'll see.
Carried the message from Nauvoo. By the thousands the converts came. From the east, from Canada, from the south, from England, from Scotland they came. Convinced and converted, wanting to be part of the city of the saints and the kingdom of God. have found work, friends. But in a city this size, for some there were hard and difficult times as well. Many left their homes with very little and arrived with even less. In any rapidly expanding community, along with the shining moments of energy and enthusiasm and accomplishment, there nestles in small corners the personal tragedies of humanity. Sickness, poverty, and death that, if not sought out, stay unattended in the shadows. Nauvoo was no exception. As president, their charge: seek out and relieve the distressed, search after objects of charity, cherish one another, watch over one another, which they did as only women can. Sealed to each other and to their Heavenly Father. The temple, not a building of wood or brick, but one built of limestone, quarried just over there beyond those trees, built with pennies collected weekly by the women and children, built by men and boys who gave 1 day in 10 as a tithe of their time, built with dedication and sacrifice to bring eternal blessings to God's children.
When family to family will meet all together. eternal, unending chain. Come to the temple, blessings await us as children of God, exalted will be.
We cannot comprehend. Reached across the eternities to bless his children. A few fields and farms away, Eliza R. Snow put in verse some of those questions and wonderings that churn within the soul in all ages and all times. Oh, my Father, Thou that dwellest in a high and glorious place, when shall I regain thy presence and again behold thy face? In thy holy habitation did my spirit once reside? In my first primeval childhood, was I nurtured near thy side?
Thou hast placed me here on earth, and with help of recollection of my former friends and birth, yet oft times a secret something whispered o'er a stranger here, and I felt that I had wandered from exalted sphere.
Questions. And yet, my friends, it is not so mysterious or complex. No, the message we bring is a simple one. God lives. Jesus is his Son. We are his children. And someday, with our families, he wants us to come home. will be better. Please, continue with your questions.
President Smith, we've heard a lot of reports, rumors, old wives' tales. Just what is the basis of your beliefs?
We are Christians, sir. Completely, devoutly, actively, who accept the Bible as Holy Scripture and the Book of Mormon as yet another testament of the divinity of Jesus here in God, in the mission of his Son. We believe in the brotherhood of man. The things men believe in are the things they do. Oh, you know a bit unusual? Not at all. We believe in the total person, the spiritual, the physical, the social, the emotional, each a part of the whole. This we believe. We believe in work, in labor, industry. We believe in getting things done. He and his brother Harold were killed by a mob at Carthage and laid to rest neath the grasses where the river runs slow and still. Then, just 7 short years from when they had arrived, the saints would be driven once again from their homes, and Nauvoo and Joseph were left behind to slumber. Nauvoo was not the end. It was really the beginning. From here, the saints would wend their way across the blazing deserts to the sterile salt flats of the Great Basin in the Rockies. And with the confidence and strength found in Nauvoo, with the memory of their friend Joseph that Carthage could not erase, they would build again in the mountains of the West. Then, after a time, they would reach out of the protection of their valley, over the mountains, back across the plains, over the sea, carrying the message of the Savior to all the earth. And the city of Joseph, the city beautiful, it sleeps. But from its silent houses and fields comes a spirit, a challenge, whispering in the wind across the generations to its sons and daughters everywhere, telling them to have the same dedication, the same faith, the same courage, the same strength in meeting the challenges of their time and place as their fathers did who first plowed these fields. And to our friends, the city beckons. Come, walk my quiet roads, feel my spirit, and the spirit of those who first were led to this lovely and peaceful bend of the river.
Have you ever seen such an evening? Have you ever seen such a sky? Have you ever felt so peaceful inside? Neither have I. Have you noticed that old river so quietly sliding by? Have you ever seen the grass so green? Neither have I. Can't think of a place I'd rather be than the one on which I stand. I'm happy
Look how stays lit up all night. Yeah. Can you go around there? You know, sometimes I get just when it takes little pictures and all, it looks like it's clear. There's something about it that's hard to read, isn't it?
Sorry. It's okay.
No.
I already took pictures of this one.
I sure can.
Oh, that's a view. Come on in. You young man, come on. Here, boys. There's three generations.
Well, isn't that neat? Burlington, Iowa.
There you go.
This is memorial to the service unit. It's getting the line. It says this is Mississippi River. Burlington, Iowa. Beautiful weather, Mississippi River. Mississippi River. Really good. Of the pioneer, the old pioneer cemetery. These are the two little twins that died in the schools. And in the his wife died. He still tried to be strong in the church all his life. He was so big he saw down there. Oh. Missions for the church. So that's a long time. No poetry in it. How do you pronounce it? Huffington. Huffington. No, remember. This river that was related to Joseph Smith, she's coming out of the cemetery, and she said this was the second most sacred place.
This team that's there in the pasture, beautiful horses, beautiful pasture, beautiful home. A long thing, a long beautiful. Magnificent place to say.
Right across from the cemetery.
Start because we are short of time here.
This is Hiram's daughter, Lavina. Did she come west? This is Walker. Lavina Walker. And his first name is what?
Lauren.
Lauren. Oh my goodness.
I think it's worth pointing
This is a little children's bedroom. And then they would lower a door so that the children wouldn't fall down the stairs. There's a well in the back, and there's still a little bit of water in it, so I don't know. There's to the cellar. Isn't this beautiful out here? I would really like to know how it was when she was here. She was such a worker that she surely probably had it just outside of Lucy March Smith's home where she lived before she went and lived with Henry. You see the brick house, making brick, and the streets and how beautiful it is. Steve Kimball's home. And we've come too late to go inside. Oh, beautiful. All these homes are so well kept now. Wouldn't been easy to leave them. Look at the chimney right there. This is where the little pioneer children played. The cabins. And there's the hand carts. The wagons. We had a ride. There's a handcart. Barn outside of the blacksmith. And turn into restaurants. Oh, and then here's down the street, Main Street. This is the kind of wagon we used to ride in going to get timber.
Weird.
Okay.
Ooh, pretty little flowers.
Would that be a mission?
That's a pretty small home. This is the banks of the Mississippi River going out of Nauvoo, where Joseph Smith started out to build a carpenter. Look back in this place. They're shipping out grain across the river there. Well, in the ships to China. That is the dam. To hold water back. Town we stayed in. It was so beautiful when you come in. You can see how much they love America. Oh, this is beautiful. Flowers and everything. There's a dam over there across the hill. And the name of the town is Keokuk. It's beautiful. This is called a boat, a river boat down in Mississippi. He's in front of the river boat. Who's Curtis? He graduated from West Point then. He's a colonel. This is a boat dock in Mississippi. Yeah, that'd be better. We're going across to Iowa and Keokuk. Where I worked here. I came here and seen friends of Keokuk. The lawns that they mowed with thousands of acres on both sides of the war. Can't believe it. They all had riding lawnmowers. Crossed Iowa and we saw all these vultures in the road. I'd like to take pictures of them.
And they'll come back.
Oh yeah, they'll come back.
Here they come, Grandma. Here they come. Get your window up.
Boy, they enjoy that. Come on, Seth, walk up to it. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints right in Iowa.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. There's not too many houses around, but it's a beautiful chapel. Kind of interesting to see.
Too far south. Southern Rural Water something number. But anyway, we're in Iowa.
What kind of country is it, Sarah?
America.
Yes, it is America, but what kind of country? It's quite flat. They grow a lot of wheat.
A lot of corn.
A lot of corn.
Soybean.
Soybean. Graves, but these. One monument. Monument erected for all those who died between 1846, is it? And 1847 and 1848. Some of the names.
Billy's.
Very solemn spot.
Might be something down there. Might be this rock.
Even has a wagon here like the one we rode in at Nauvoo. I guess the tourists are not that great right now. What a feeling. Pratt was the one that stopped here and decided to help the saints as they were going across the plains, to stop here and help them. And he called this mountain Mount Pisgah, after the mountain that Moses stood on when he saw the promised land. And it says not Lorenzo, but Eliza R. Snow had a cabin built here. And she put the tent covering on top of it to keep out the weather. So these are the first steps that people take. Little children and families were buried here as they come across the plains. And you hear the birds. Very tender. Trail. And this is called Brown Mountain. But two veterans are buried right there. Very tender. It's a
Yeah.
best transform I ever had. That was fast.
It really was. Well, I hope you'll have time to take some forward with us and find out what happened in this area.
What was the purpose of putting those wagons in a circle?
You know, before they did letter in the street. And then said, will you supply 500 men to go and fight in this war? Now, these people didn't leave those warm homes with comfort that they had in Nauvoo to come out here and fight a war. And they didn't want to leave their families here. Not quite like this, is it? But they got the memorial here too. It sounds like they did. You can buy this film if you want it for about $4 from the distribution center.
Their story has an unusual beginning. From 1830 to 1846, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, nicknamed Mormons, experienced almost constant persecution. Time and again, they were driven from their homes, deprived of their rights and property. Among them were Ezra and Sarah Allen. The Latter-day Saints, including the Allen family, found temporary refuge in the state of Illinois. Within a few years, Nauvoo, their city on the banks of the Mississippi, rivaled Chicago in size. It seemed a haven from all the troubles of the past. It was in Nauvoo that another couple, William Corey and Melissa Burton, met and fell in love. William proposed marriage, and Melissa accepted. But the peace and happiness of Nauvoo were short-lived. In 1844, Joseph Smith, the leader of the church, was killed by a mob. Homes and property outside the city were destroyed. Finally, in order to avoid further conflict, Brigham Young agreed that the Latter-day Saints would leave the state. Early in February 1846, the exodus of an entire city began. Ezra and Sarah and William and Melissa put their lives and happiness on hold, and once again left behind almost all that they possessed, starting out across the river toward an unknown destination. By spring, almost 20,000 members of the church were scattered across the Iowa prairie.
Citizens to drive us from our homes.
President Brigham Young said, the salvation of the church depended upon raising the army. When I heard this, my mind changed. I felt it was my duty to go. 496 volunteers mustered in, among them Ezra Allen and William Corey. The battalion was about to begin the longest infantry march in U.S. military history. It was not an easy thing saying goodbye to their families there on the prairie, wondering if they would ever see them again. The idea of being separated from her new husband didn't sit well with 18-year-old Melissa.
I don't see why women must always stay behind and worry about their husbands when they could just as well march beside them.
Melissa signed up as a laundress. July 20th, the battalion marched away. They took little food except some flour and whatever they could carry. A blanket, a few clothes, a tin cup.
July 24th, marched 5 miles. The weather, excessively hot. July 25th, no flour. Many went to bed fasting. Marched 20 miles of camp. My feet are very sore.
Melissa and the other women who volunteered as laundresses willingly shared the rigors of the journey. August 1st, the battalion reported for duty at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Each man received a musket and a few supplies, as well as a yearly clothing allowance of $42. Most sent the money back to help their families rather than buy uniforms. The only standard article all soldiers had was a white belt and instructions to keep it clean. From Fort Leavenworth, the battalion took its march to Santa Fe, and Brigham Young's promise was fulfilled.
Though there will be battles fought in your front and in your rear, on your right and on your left, you will not have any fighting to do.
Still, the battalion would endure many hardships.
Saturday, August 15th. Our march was slow, the heat intense, the suffering of the sick intolerable. If anything was alienating the men, cold or blistered feet or anything else, the doctor would give a dose of calomel and arsenic. All were treated alike.
By the time the battalion reached Santa Fe, over 150 were sick and had to be sent to Pueblo, Colorado to recover.
September 26th, 23 miles. No rest. March is the daily task. Sick or well, sleep on the rough old ground with only one blanket to shelter from the cold.
Some of the men recorded bits of poetry in their journals.
How hard to starve and wear us out on this sandy desert route. We sometimes now, for lack of bread, are less than quarter rations fed.
At Santa Fe, the battalion was ordered to forge a wagon road to the Pacific Ocean.
This morning, all awoke in a storm. Suddenly, everything we had.
As they struggled through New Mexico and Arizona, the terrain became increasingly difficult. The journey must have been especially difficult for Melissa, who was pregnant. Still, she went on with unfailing courage.
I didn't mind it. I walked because I wanted to. My husband had to walk, and I went along with him.
The war with Mexico was at an end by the time the battalion reached San Diego in January 1847. In their ragged state, they looked more like survivors than soldiers. In March of 1847, San Diego was just a village, a plaza surrounded by a church, a few stores and houses. Company B was assigned to peacetime garrison there. While they waited discharge, the company set to work assisting the villagers of San Diego. Carpenters finished houses, fences and buildings were whitewashed. A courthouse was constructed, the first brick building in the town. Perhaps most helpful were the 20 wells they dug and lined with bricks, making fresh water readily available. July 4th, 1847, the battalion raised the American flag over Los Angeles.
Gentlemen, you are discharged.
1 year after bidding goodbye to their families, the Mormon battalion was discharged. They didn't know where Brigham Young and the rest of the church were, but they were on their way to find them. A year earlier, in July of 1846, 238 Latter-day Saints, under the leadership of Sam Brannan, had arrived in California on the ship Brooklyn. They became the first colonists in California under American rule. The old Californians were amazed at what they had brought with them: dry goods, tools, vegetable seeds, school supplies, and a library of 179 books. They had also brought a printing press and a supply of newsprint. Everything needed to begin a newspaper. Following their discharge, many members of the battalion headed directly east to rejoin their families. But with speculation that Brigham Young and the rest of the church might continue on to California, some headed north. Among them, Ezra Allen and William and Melissa Corey.
I thought it best to make my way as fast as possible to San Francisco, but my wife being in a delicate situation, I concluded to stop for a season in Monterey. October 2nd, 1847. My wife was delivered of a fine baby boy. I named him Willie, after myself. I have the greatest boy you ever saw.
They planned to move to San Francisco as soon as she was well, but before they could leave, tragedy struck. Baby William died. They had only their faith to sustain them as they prepared to join their comrades in San Francisco.
San Francisco is a beautiful place, a flagship harbor. Things are improving rapidly.
Under Brannan's leadership, the Latter-day Saints had started San Francisco's first school, its first bank, and first post office. The printing press had been put to good use. The first edition of the California Star reached the streets of San Francisco January 7, 1847. It was the city's first newspaper. Meanwhile, about 80 members of the discharged battalion had stopped at Sutter's Fort and accepted temporary work in order to purchase needed supplies.
Captain John A. Sutter, being desirous of building a flour mill some 6 miles from the fort and a sawmill about 45 miles away, proposed to hire all the men. Sutter had wanted to build the mills for some time, but lacked skilled labor to do it. The battalion members, many experienced craftsmen from the East, provided the solution. They worked on a variety of projects. 6 were hired to build a sawmill in the mountains. We arrived on the 29th of September. The surrounding country looked wild and lonesome, infested with wolves and grizzly bears.
Things progressed well until December. Then winter rains brought high, swift water, which slowed the work. In their downtime, the men built a log cabin so they could move out of the one they had been sharing with the Wimmer family. They moved in on January 23rd. The next morning, as they were digging the tail race deeper, the first gold flakes were spotted, thanks to the journal entries of 2 of the men that David the Finders recorded.
Monday, January 24th, 1848. This day, some kind of metal was found in the tail of the race that looks like gold. It was first found by James W. Marshall, the boss of the mill.
The metal passed every test, including the harsh lie of Mrs. Wimmer's SoCal. The only thing left to do was convince John Sutter. He was skeptical at first, but when he paid a visit to the mill, Marshall and the others determined to help convince him by salting the race. The plan almost backfired when the Wimmer boys found the gold before Sutter did, but he had seen enough to be convinced. It wasn't long until word of the find spread, and curious comrades visited their friends in Kelowna. On one such trip, Sidney Wills and Wilford Hudson found more gold particles on a sandbar in the American River. The strike became known as Mormon Island and turned out to be the second major gold strike, one with very rich diggings. Meanwhile, the merchants in San Francisco were concerned that the city wasn't growing fast enough. They suggested a special edition of the California Star, extolling the virtues of the city and the state. The paper was ready to print except for a couple of empty inches on an inside page when news of a gold discovery in Kelowna reached San Francisco. Several battalion members were hired as express riders to carry copies of the Star east, and the few lines about gold which they carried across country to St. Louis, Baltimore, New York, and other major cities of the east would trigger the gold rush of '49. Hordes of gold seekers flocked to Kelowna from San Francisco and Monterey. Battalion members continued to work for Sutter, but in their spare time, they too joined in the search.
It was mining in a primitive way. We had no pans, no lumber to make rockers, so we used Indian baskets to pan with. We would dump the gold in the flour sacks spread out on the ground.
At Mormon Island, Ezra and William tried their hand at panning for gold as well.
But we did not stop there long. We were anxious to come to Salt Lake.
After the discovery of gold, all my plans and projects came to naught. One after another, my people disappeared in the directions of the gold fields. Only the Mormons remained to finish their jobs.
The Kelowna mill was in regular operation by the end of March. The contract to finish the mill was fulfilled. No set of men was better situated to gain from the gold strike than the members of the battalion. Had they remained just another year, they would have become rich. But they were concerned about another goal, getting back to their families. A meeting was held at Sutter's Fort on April 9th to discuss plans for going. Sutter paid the soldiers in kind with horses, oxen, wagons, and other items they would need. And ironically, while much of the country was heading west to California, the Mormon battalion was turning its back on the gold and heading east.
Our honor was at stake. With us, it was God and His kingdom first.
Yet even as they were leaving, the Mormon battalion was to make one more contribution to the history of the West, blazing the trail across the Sierra Nevadas, which thousands of gold seekers would follow. It was a daunting prospect. It would be the highest overland wagon route in the continental U.S., but they were determined to find a way. June 17, 1848, Henry Bigwood and two others set out to select a place of gathering. They found a spot they named Pleasant Valley, and the company gathered there to finish preparations. Daniel Broward was elected president of the company, and while the rest of the party was making preparations, he and Ezra Allen, along with Henderson Cox, went ahead to scout a trail along Iron Mountain Ridge to Carson Pass. They didn't return. Finally, the rest of the party headed off after them, 45 men and one woman, Melissa Corey.
The country is rougher than first reports indicated. Brush and rocks give the wagons considerable difficulty in passing.
Most of our time is consumed in working the road.
Wednesday, July 19th. Discovered what looked like a shallow grave and dead campfire. We commenced to open it, and at the bottom, to our great horror, found the bodies of our three friends, divested of every article of clothing and exhibiting marks of terrible violence.
In the grass, we found Ezra Allen's bloodstained back. As the murderers took off his clothing, the back most likely slid into the grass. It was a time of mourning to think that the man that was to be our leader to Salt Lake was now lying dead.
In all my journey with the battalion, this was the worst night.
The company laid over a full day to prepare the grave of their friends, and Wilford Hudson carved an epitaph on a nearby tree. They named the place Tragedy Spring.
Saturday, July 22nd, Rock Creek. We climbed a few minutes deeper now. Wagons continue to break down and need almost constant repair. 15 men worked the road to the top of the mountain.
July 29th, Summit Camp, 2 miles. Cliffs with sharp drops. Very hard going.
July 31st, Pass Canyon.
Someone suggested that we build a fire on rocks. When the fire had died down, we found that as far as the heat had penetrated, the rocks were all broken in small pieces, which were soon removed with pick and shovel. Another fire was built with the same result. After 3 or 4 fires, we found that the rocks were not much in our way, and we soon had a good wagon road right over them.
It took 7 days to cut a wagon road through the canyon, about 7 miles at 1 mile a day. But in 40 days, the party had blazed about 170 miles of wagon road across trackless terrain. For the next 16 years, thousands of gold and land seekers traveled this route. Thousands of people, wagons, and livestock would come into California over the Mormon Trail. Thousands of weary immigrants would follow these battalion tracks. Melissa and William and their comrades reached Salt Lake City, October 6, 1848. They were home at last. Later that fall, Sarah Allen waited for Ezra's return.
I looked forward to the time when his strong arms would lift these burdens from my shoulders. Waiting and watching, listening to the sound of every footstep that approached my door.
Word of Ezra's fate finally reached Sarah, along with the pouch containing the gold. She used the gold to buy a wagon and supplies and to bring her family west. But she reserved enough to make a wedding ring, which she wore the remainder of her life. Back in Salt Lake, William's health was failing. It was diagnosed as tuberculosis, brought on by the rigors of the journey. Nothing could be done for him. He had one wish, to live long enough to see the birth of the baby Melissa was carrying. A daughter was born the next February. William passed away March 7, 1849.
Looking back on my life, I do not feel to complain. I think my trials are great. We have hopes of meeting again where we will not be subject to separation.
So ended a history-making adventure. William and Melissa, Ezra and Sarah, as well as hundreds of others, paid a costly price for their faith. But the sacrifices they made live on. The country they explored, the cities they helped found, the roads they built, have become a legacy to future generations. Brigham Young's words were literally fulfilled.
The Mormon Battalion will be held in honorable remembrance to the latest generation.
What is it?
Those people that left the church here, is their ancestors still around? Are they bitter, or what's their attitude?
Oh, there's many attitudes to our people. And we had several come in over the period of time. And they said we most of them fine. I had a fellow come last winter. He had a
relation to the family, and the reorganization of the first presidency is here, or around here, but in this town, the living Christ, and the revelation for the 20th trip. And it tells about that. To take us over the Missouri River to winter quarters. The temple of uniforms. Winter quarters. Such a beautiful view. Standing this time to give them this stuff. Here they go west. Grandma and Grandpa, father and mother and children. Kind of neat. And a lot of their children were buried here and family. And right off in there is the temple. I'm taking another picture of this because it shows the father and mother. And the grandparents with them. Right at the back. There's one of the grandbabies right on top. Can't you just see Joseph, Danielle, or Hannah, Ethan? There's Ethan, right on top of the wagon.
The act is not to be in pictures.
One of the things that it takes.
And as they were starting, this was the hardest part of their journey.
Really?
Yeah. Be able to keep going even though he did. You know what the song is?
Oh, this is where he wrote the song, Come He Sings?
Now, do any of you like to sing?
Oh, we all like to sing.
Oh, good. Are you ready to sing it? Now, first he'll give these. See, there's a situation here. His wife was going to have a baby. She stayed in Nauvoo. He was, again, helping the saints in the family, away from his family in the middle of the mud, helping them across Iowa in that first journey in 1846. So this is what he said. This was April 15th. What do you think, Scott? I think it's good in this place, in this room. Looks like the same as looking for you. Really bright on it. I would just hope not just like this right here. See the temple in the cemetery?
prayers I sing. Oh God, forever in private. Will you step in?
More than one family would live here at one time.
Woo. More than one family will live here.
Look at each advertisement showing something that would need a lot of, something that you could use to work so much.
This one right here?
Mm-hmm. Perhaps the hardest thing would be to leave your businesses.
Yeah, a lot of them are very successful.
They prosper.
It's not working.
100,000 saints came west between 1830 and 1880.
States and Canada, the journey to Zion began by sea. During the first 25 years of emigration, Latter-day Saints made the ocean voyage on sailing ships propelled by wind and current. Departing from Liverpool and other European ports, passage on the Atlantic averaged between 5 and 7 weeks at sea in the dark bank steerage quarters. From 1840 to 1855, most companies of immigrants landed at New Orleans and then proceeded up the Mississippi River by steamboat to Nauvoo, or later outfitting posts. This route was abandoned after 1855 when the railroad was completed past Chicago. In addition to being more convenient, the northern ports of New York, Boston, Philadelphia, and Quebec removed the emigrants from the disease-infested waters and swamps of the river routes. In the late 1860s, Latter-day Saints began traveling by steamship, which greatly reduced the dangers and discomforts of the ocean crossing. Passage from Liverpool to New York City averaged just 11 days. While the great majority of immigrants came from Europe, a few began their Atlantic journey in South Africa and India. In the Pacific, immigrants came from Australia, New Zealand, and Tahiti, landing in ports in California.
I wonder where you're from. You think? How about
Ports. Passage on the Atlantic averaged between 5
over the edge and pull the makes a difference, isn't it?
Someone got those bullocks where she could get a midwife. Across the plane, she delivered. And then the baby's the first thing out.
Like three clouds compared to sunshine, and that symbolizes the restoration of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
What was that? Did you say?
The clouds with the sunshine coming through symbolizes the restoration. Did you have a question also there? The point symbolize the resurrection.
As hard as it was to me, some of the hardest trials still lay ahead. It rained incessantly. We literally waded through mud and water.
We crossed only one mud puddle today, baby. It was 6 miles long. It was wagons, flocks, and herds. It looked like the movement of a great nation.
To reach the Rocky Mountains with an advance company by the fall of 1846. But after months on the road, he realized they would need to stop for the winter. While they looked for a suitable place,
they faced another seeming hardship. The Army requested 500 men to be enlisted in the war with Mexico.
I was greatly surprised to see over 500 log houses put up, making quite a city. The place has the appearance of a log town.
Thick and exhausted.
Scarcely a family escaped sickness, and there were very few where death did not make an inroad. My little brother Henry died before Christmas. My mother died just 6 weeks after. I didn't know how I could live without her. I was 12 years old.
Our house was near the burying ground, and I can recall the small, mournful trains that so often passed out of it. The scurvy was making such inroads among us that it looked as if all might be sleeping on the hill before spring.
There were rivers, cold, very uncomfortable. It was so.
And if ye do this, in all faithfulness, ye shall be blessed.
A Vanguard company left winter quarters on April 14, 1847.
I see.
After traveling more than 1,000 miles, their search was finally over.
We gazed with wonder and admiration upon the vast, fertile valley. Thoughts of pleasant meditation ran through our minds, and the anticipation that not many years hence, our temple, the house of God, would be established, and the standard of Zion be unfurled under which the nations would gather.
From the desert, other Latter-day Saints were beginning to gather. At ports around the world, recent converts to the church boarded ships bound for Zion.
This is an ancient picture of Sunday Saint when they come to Iowa City.
I've got several, but I don't know where that is.
This is the entrance into the cemetery right next to the temple. The struggles and the sacrifices at that time. These parts are from the scriptures, and I know that they will be there. But we shall stand at the last days on the earth. Little child and the father and mother walking. And then just placed over an unknown child and 7 others of the Bible saints. In the temple. You have heard of the stained glass window that's in the temple. soldiers. Our fellows. These are the doors. Just a stained glass window on the west side. We have not went in yet. It's pretty loud. And very little. We just come from Fillmore. This was an overlook on Almond Island. You cannot see the river, but the river is abounded over by the train. We'll go to Tower Hill in a minute. It's quiet here. Hunterton. Look how dry it is right through here in Missouri. The earth is being trapped. Boy, this is such a huge place. You really don't know what you're doing. It's Mount Adamon, Wyoming, Springfield Road.
Tell me what that is. Off the truck. You guys can turn around. 99 years and it's still like,
Tower Hill, and we're going out in this path to have an overlook of this. Clark said the Nephites were here, but there are no rocks to signify that Adam's olive. This is the tower. The prophet said the Nephites were here. He had an altar. And one island goes a long ways out. It's 2 miles from the last time I took this. Going down this path, you can see how extensive it is. We've already come 2 miles from where I shot the last picture. It is extensive. It's huge rocks around here. So you can sit and rest. This is the way they put up hay here, a lot of them, lots of grass. See the sign right there? Slade County Courthouse. Or Caldwell County. John Whitman. And then they put this marker in the front telling about how important his life was. He was an historian for the church and in the presidency. So it was erected in 1999 by the John Whitman Historical Association. Oh, he was true to the faith. He died July 1878, and Sarah Jackson Whitmer died October. She was born in October. She died in October 15th, 1873.
Be a beautiful location for a temple.
Well, I was lucky some ways. They didn't see the city in colleges. That much.
We see it in the church. And the Revelation. can't believe that. Distance from here, Joseph F. Smith was born, and he became the 6th president of the church. City by Joseph Smith, telling him at 12 o'clock he was going to mission from here. And he did. And he's laid in representation of the first presidency. This shows the layout of Fort West. Archiving, commandment to build church temple, so they might worship the Lord. And this is where the commandment to go into the great waters to preach the gospel. Cornerstone is representative of the vessel person. Race, this is the wilderness, and by 1838, 5,000 people are here. Fort West was the county seat, but it was changed to Kingston, where we just were. The north, west Cornerstone, that's representation of the 12 apostles. Well, the High Council crowned the 12. This is the plaque and these are the cornerstone. Cornerstone is representation of the high crystal. Beautiful flowers. But this is where the temple is standing. Still, the restaurants are right next to the temple site. It's hard to leave this temple site. You can feel the sacredness of it. Wonderful. I hope you understand this far west site. That's the temple site, and here we've got all the more than 5,000 left to go into Nauvoo. Oh, I hope you enjoy it there. Just love you so much. I hope you enjoy seeing that. There's the highway out in front that goes past this temple. We'll be built someday. Oh. The very Argonite Church, right across the street. Here a little bit. It's quite a thing. The name has been changed to the Community of Christ. Those videos are really good. It's kind of cute, but we organized about how they chose this resident of their church. That stopped in 1963, where they had no descendants from Joseph Smith. One of the original homes, 13,000 saints lived here at one time. We should have been burned too.
There is an honor of Colonel Alexander W. Jonathan, commander of the 1st Regiment, Missouri, Talent Volunteers in War with Mexico. Born in Mason County, Kentucky, July the 9th, 1808. Died in Richmond, Missouri, August 8th, 1887. On the roster of the great soldiers of the Earth must always stand in a hollow of glory, the name of Colonel Alexander W. Dawson of Missouri.
And he was a brave. Obedience to law is liberty. This is where David Whitmer and Oliver Cowdery is buried at Richmond. Claire was Courtney, Martin Harris, Oliver Cowdery, and David Whitmer. And David Whitmer, and both Claire and Oliver Cowdery are buried here. They also say Martin Harris is buried here, and no, he wasn't. What a marker to have. Jacob Whitmer, his grave. The Whitmer lot. And this is J. and E. Whitmer. The wife of John C. Richardson. Born March the 7th, 1815, age 15 years. Wow.
escape to the reserve. And I actually lived in there. There were a couple of narrations. The first narration is just
A 19th century historian who visited the Liberty Jail wrote this description. There are two heavily barred openings each side. With the exception of the door, there is no other means of ventilation. The rock walls are 2 feet thick, and in building them, a space of about 1 foot was left between the rock and timber, which space was filled up with loose rock. Thus, the prison walls are virtually 4 feet thick. Several loads of rock were also placed on top of the low ceiling in order to make escape to the roof impossible.
After the many hundreds of twice. The first time was after Sweeney Reed had been released. There was a trial, and actually Sweeney Reed had been quite good, but he was well enough to speak for himself. He started going so eloquently, the people demanded that he be released to protect his family. They even raised money to get him there. After he was released, they went to the prophet, and they asked him to pray to the Lord to know it was his release escape. He came back and said, yes, united in faith, only we are all united. So they were going to dump the guards that came to give them their food. And they come upstairs, sometimes they drop them their food, and then have visitors. They're planning to do it. At the last minute, one of them said, no, I don't want to do it. So they decided to do it the next time. And as they were getting ready to do this, some of their friends showed up the next time that day to see how they were doing. And basically, chaos ensued. They were supposed to jump the guards. The guards beat them to the door, shut the door behind them. But there was one man outside of their friend that hadn't made it inside yet. So he grabbed one guard under each arm, full-grown man under each arm, and he ran off. And of course, I'm sure he dropped him. And now as he dropped him, he continued to run, and he fell himself. And he was falling, a bullet was by his head. So actually falling to his left. The other attempt was a friend had smuggled a wooden auger into his tiny window here. It's an old-fashioned drill. You twist the handle, and the handle kept breaking, so they had to use fire with it. Fire was not very strong, so it kept breaking. So it took him a long time to do that. As you can see, it's a very thick wall. And the friend finally, pulled someone else, and the guard finally heard about it. And the guard came down and stopped them. They had one stone left to get through. So I guess this one was a large moment.
Joseph Smith, Michael Mysteries, Sidney Rigdon, Hiram Smith, Lyman White, Caleb Paul, and Alexander McRae were brought to Liberty Jail on December 1st, 1838. An eyewitness recorded it.
They rolled in one large, heavy wagon with a high box. The inhabitants of Liberty and many of the surrounding country were out to witness the entrance of the prisoners into the place. And many expressed their disappointment that the strangers should so resemble all other men. The prisoners left the wagon and immediately ascended the soft steps of the platform. One by one, the prisoners entered. Joseph Smith was the last. He turned partly around and lifting his head said in a distinct voice, "Good afternoon, gentlemen." The next moment he passed out of sight.
America at this time was still a religion country. Its laws and ideals were still developing. But even though all this was going on, the people were still denied their rights to worship according to their conscience, even their rights to fair trial. The prophet and then was firm supporters of the Constitution. Even said that the Constitution was a glorious standard founded in the wisdom of God.
Miserable in the jail, it was cold. Joseph wrote to his family and friends. Those who have not been enclosed in the walls of a prison without cause can have but little idea how sweet the voice of a friend is. One token of friendship from any source whatever awakens every sympathetic feeling. But more distressing to the prisoners than their physical circumstances were the meager details they received concerning the hardships being faced by members of the church.
Forsake your religion. Abandon your pride. If you do not, you need not expect regret, for there is none.
It is impossible for my pen to tell you of our situation. 5,000 men, women, and children driven from their homes in poverty.
We ask for the privileges guaranteed all free citizens to live and worship God according to our own conscience.
Know that God knows the feelings of my heart. When I left our home and almost all of everything we possessed, begging our little children, and took my journey out of the state.
Liberty Jail was a place of painful refining for Joseph Smith and his companions. As he tried to pen words of consolation to the suffering saints, Joseph poured out his anguish in prayer. O God, where art thou? In prayer. O God, where art thou? And where is the pavilion that covereth thy hiding place? How long shall thy hand be stayed, and thine eye behold from the heavens the wrongs of thy people? In this cramped, confined prison cell, Joseph received answer to his prayers. Through revelation, he was given teachings as lofty as the heavens. My son, peace be unto thy soul. Thine adversity and thine afflictions shall be but a small moment, and then, if thou endure it well, God shall exalt thee on high. If thou art called to pass through tribulation, if the heavens gather blackness, and all the elements combine to edge of the way, know thou, my son, that all these things shall give thee experience, and shall be for thy good. The Son of Man hath descended below them all. Art thou greater than he? Other important truths were also revealed in Liberty Jail. Behold, there are many called, but few are chosen. And why are they not chosen? Because their hearts are set so much upon the things of this world. Fear not what man can do, for God shall be with you forever and ever. Let virtue guard thy thoughts unceasingly. Then shall thy confidence wax strong in the presence of God. The Holy Ghost shall be thy constant companion, and thy scepter an unchanging scepter of righteousness and truth. The words of comfort and perspective revealed in Liberty Jail sustained Joseph Smith and members of the church through this trial and many others which followed. What could have been a time of despair became a season of faith. The members of the church found temporary refuge in the state of Illinois. In April 1839, James then was ordered to the prisoners. Realizing that there was no valid charge against them, the sheriff, directed by his superiors, allowed them to escape. They soon joined their friends and family in Illinois. Today, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Nauvoo jail, not as a place of suffering, but as a sacred spot where faith was tested until consecration. A place where the voice of God was heard again as he spoke to a living prophet. A place where revelation was given for all mankind.
There's a little tiny one on the other side. And there's three lots inside. That's one tiny one.
If you just start out and go over there to the members of the church, and you want to help them go over it because oh, that was right when I was very slow. Well, it comes to yeah, it was big mission. And all the mission field and well, it's down the Mississippi River. And we went to church there while I was in the Nauvoo. Yes. Really, she's nice.
This is the inside. You go around. This is various trees home. This is the library. Dewey defeats Truman. Went to school thinking that Dewey was our next president. Come home, American. Disgrace. So the library is situated is on the hill, right in front of it. Champagne is dedicated to you and me. A free land. Dedicated to you. A free citizen and a free land. That's a community in Christ Church, the organized church used to be.
There's Kim.
This is our Eucharistic right here. And right across the street is the community of Christ, the temple. This is really interesting. The left side is another village of the community. And then the temple, their temple is right across the street. Yes, all the people. Great big spaces.
You'll be able to see. This is the worshiper's path. It's getting lighter now. The cross is made out of cedar. We use the symbol of the cross as a Christian symbol. 4 to 6 weeks to learn how to do this flower arrangements. The base, which is made out of bamboo, which is from Japan, represents eternity, and the top part represents heaven. This is a representation of West's hand. This is the earth holding it together. The young and the old uniting their efforts together to bring peace to the world. We call it the International Peace Award. The last one listed here was the granddaughter to Mahatma Gandhi, who received the award last year. The one who received it this year was Jean Vallier, a Frenchman, who personally started 2,000 homes throughout the world for people that are mentally handicapped. And you'll see 1,600 people, so I think you guys can see. I'm simply amazed watching people. It's funny how they pick this front row and everybody just kind of come in and books, takes the talk. In March of 1990, they started construction of the building. 2 years later, or in April of 92, they completed construction of this building. In 1993, they contacted an organ company named Cassie Bat Paris, a French outfit, in Quebec.
This is the map of the world when you come out. There it is. This is the auditorium. There's our visitor center. Here's the auditorium.
Christians, bear with me just a minute.
The tabernacle. They really don't know where the temple is supposed to be built. but it's supposed to be built in this area. They pray for peace. Which I pray for peace too. Now, across the street, there's another church, Church of Christ, and they own that, what it says, temple lot. But the guide told us on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we really don't know where the temple is supposed to be built, but we all own quite a few acres. Independence, Missouri. Harriet Truman born here. He loved independence. His 80th birthday he celebrated in the auditorium of the Reorganized Church. He was asked the question, would you still have dropped the atomic bomb? And he said, absolutely yes. It saved thousands of lives.
Behold, I am Jesus Christ. I created the heavens and the earth and all things that in them are. I was with the Father from the beginning. I came into the world to do the will of my Father. My Father sent me that I might be lifted up upon the cross, that I might draw all men unto me. Learn of me, and listen to my words. Walk in the meekness of my spirit, and you shall have peace in me. Behold the wounds which pierced my side, and also the prints of the nails in my hands and feet. For behold, I have suffered these things for all, that they might not suffer if they would repent. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples. In my Father's house are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. If ye love me, keep my commandments.
We're leaving now the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I hope you enjoyed the record of Jesus Christ talking to the people.
Mines west of Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake
But that part of it just goes and goes and goes and goes.